Imagine being able to build
All right, for nearly, guys, a century, the deepest secrets of our reality, they haven't been protected by vault doors or military guards. They've been protected by ink, by words, spoken, weaponized, lifetime non-disclosure agreements. Agreements designed to keep exotic off-world technologies completely siloed from the global population. If you talked, you didn't just, break contract. You kind of ruined your life. But tonight, the ultimate legal shield by the deep state is absolutely fracturing, some would say. And with the executive branch, actively directing federal agencies to waive these legacy NDAs through the pursue system, the ultimate test has arrived for the disclosure movement. Whistleblowers in the front lines like David Grush, Lou Elizondo, love him or hate him, Dylan Borland, Jeff Nuccitelli, Matthew Brown. The legal boundaries now shifted. Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, I forgot to mention. But for the old guard and men like Puthoff, they've spent decades not hiding, but speaking those words. Well, if I could ever talk to you, I would need a presidential pardon. I would need this. I'm bound by this. I'm bound by that. They had almost their foot on one side and in the other for disclosure, but also they wanted to keep their lifestyle that the way they were used to, following the money wherever it went, whether it was Bigelow or if it was directly with the federal government. The cage doors are kind of open. They're, some would say, wide open. The shields have started to collapse. Maybe this is the first step in getting other whistleblowers and other people that were inside legacy programs to step forward without fear of retribution, of losing their careers, of losing their way to provide for their family. These are real things that we need to account for, and we need to demand more. This is among one step in the process. Some of the whistleblowers that I've spoken to say that nothing's actually changed. And if that's true, we need to start addressing that problem. We need to protect these people because what we're doing is seeking the truth. They have it. We can't just let them die by fire. We got to meet them halfway. And I've assembled a panel of people to help me do that and talk about it, dissect it. So let's get the ball rolling. I'm tired talking. I'm all tongue twisted tonight. Gentlemen, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Sorry, I got to fix something on mine. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. So Vito, I don't have your name tags on. Sorry, guys. So Vito, right next to me, Brian in the bottom. Obviously, Buddy Whistling Mike down there at the bottom, all anonymous and such, like always. Love that guy. Well, let's start. Vito, what do you think about this new initiative from the executive branch, from the president, to allow whistleblowers to step forward to Arrow, which is kind of a red flag for me, but to Arrow and to the Pursue program to essentially have their NDAs waived, their oaths commuted, so that they can talk to people in these programs and relay pertinent information?
I think on paper it sounds wonderful. You know what I mean? On paper it sounds great. Yeah, sure. Come on down and talk to me. You know what I mean? Come on down and talk to the same fucking people that just sold you upriver, cut your brake lines, and did all kinds of crazy shit to you for the last 80 years. But sure, come tell us everything. We got you. Why would you ever go tell anybody who just fucked you over for the last 20 years anything? If I were Matt Brown, if I were Dylan Borland, if I were Jeff Nuccitelli or any of these guys that had all this crazy shit allegedly happen to them, and you're telling me to come in and talk to the very people that spied on me, investigated me, tapped my lines, cut brake lines, did this, did that, all allegedly, That's not who I'm going to go talk to. I mean, we got a guy below me who dealt with these people and who's been getting harassed by them specifically by Arrow majorly. I mean, he's told us in all of his stories. So, I mean, we got the perfect guy to talk to about this, but I think it's crazy. I truly do. If they genuinely have actual the ability to come clean and say whatever, then allow them to say it to everybody. Don't just say, oh, you can only say it to these two agencies that are embedded in the United States government, because I don't trust that for shit. I just don't. I'm sorry.
No, fair. That I can't argue there. Brian, same question. What do you think overall? Just initial thoughts about this.
Yeah, obviously, Arrow doesn't have a great track record of relaying to the public what has been communicated to them by credible whistleblower testimony. So, obviously, for those of us in the know, granting permission for people to continue speaking to Arrow doesn't really mean a lick to us. Now, the other group, Pursue, is this the one with headed by Avi Loeb? Is this the new presidential thing with Avi Loeb?
I don't know. That's what I was wondering myself. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know who Pursue even is. I never heard of them before. And why are they called Pursue? That's kind of like a foreshadowing.
I think it's an acronym.
Right. Well, as far as I'm just going to wager here, we can look this up in a second, but if it is indeed this new group headed by Avi Loeb, because it was, essentially put together by the administration, I have a little bit more hope. I know Avi Loeb. Maybe you guys have spoken to him as well. He's no.
You don't know what show you're on, brother.
We got to. Avi Loeb's a complicated character. There's some. We can get into it, but I have a little bit more hope there. That group is represented by not just proponents of this phenomenon, but skeptics, as we know, Michael Shermer. And while I'm no big fan of Michael Shermer, I have seen how he's sort of softened his rhetoric online and is a little bit more open-minded to these sorts of things. So I'm a little bit more hopeful there. But usually I am on the side of optimism. Like, yes, things are going in the right direction. I think with this particular issue, I'm going to take the side of a cynic. Maybe you guys might agree. Just, I'm not sure how great a news this is. We can talk about the substantive outcomes, the possible substantive outcomes that this could render versus the optics of it all, which I think is something I'm a little bit more focused on.
I think that's very well said. Very well said. Mike, what is being yourself and being someone who's actually been through this process, dealt with these people, can you give us a little bit of insight on what this means to someone like you?
Yeah, damn, you sure you want to ask that? You want to open that box?
I sure do.
So there's a million paths here. I'm just going to take the one that I think is the most simple to explain to people. And I think that's going to be important today because, again, and we were talking about this a little bit before we got started, we got something new and shiny. This is the answer, right? And we really need to talk through people, what it really is going to mean and what it's not, what the expectations should be. So to start there, I'll just go into, when I dealt with Arrow, I did everything they asked, multiple, I've got 2.5 years worth of emails and phone calls with them, been in the skiff with them. I've got emails that thank me for what I've done for keeping physical material and things from our adversaries. And then, as we all know, and anyone can watch the interview on this channel with Ty that I did, you end up with Tim Phillips.
I think one of the best ones that you did, man.
Yeah, you got Tim Phillips that even starts kind of one of the clips and multiple podcasts going on to accuse me of extortion of the United States government, and then things that have no sense. Like from what he heard, wasn't safe to have around one's family, and I mean it's like, so this is Arrow, right? I can go on and on about that. This is Arrow. So where did Arrow come from? Well, one of the big people that kicked off Arrow was Senator Gillibrand. We need to go back to the start. We're so obsessed with the UAP caucus right now. Senator Gillibrand just, 3 days ago or so, made a statement when that last report or whatever it was came out, or on that last report, saying that she really basically said they've done more than anyone, and she wanted to commend them on their professional services. The fuck are you talking about? Your guy Tim Phillips came out and accused somebody, a whistleblower that nobody knew who I was. I wasn't even out on the scene. I was in the shadows, of extortion of the United States government. Now we all know what happened to Tim, right? Basically, to cut it short, it's a lot like the movie Friday, if you've seen it. He was on retirement. He wasn't working. He's getting a paycheck. The motherfucker got fired on his day off. I don't know. He's fucking caught him stealing boxes on the goddamn surveillance, build a clubhouse. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. So they know about that. Legal knows about that. SSCI legal knows about that. All those people. And then he got his ass fired in what he reports as a very nice letter, one that he also says claimed that the United States government was better off basically separating and going their own way. So why do I say that? She's never retracted the statement. I have all my records of calling, all my records of speaking to Gillibrand's office. She's aware of what Tim Phillips done. They've never retracted that. They've never corrected it. She's commending them. So again, I'll leave it there. I'll kind of land it there. But like, yeah, whatever people are hoping or expecting when AARO is, which is the fucking 4-letter word, right? Shit ain't gonna work. So we're where we were before. Nothing's changed. And it's not the fault of folks who have tried to push it forward, but you got to get rid of Arrow.
So even the new Arrow, you're saying no, thank you, because they're saying, oh, it's new now, it's new and improved. They're cool now. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up, Vito. Before I just decided to get off X and pursue business, I was going to go into that, kind of trying to explain to people. So we all know Kirkpatrick in this community is one of the enemies, right? But what people need to look at and analyze is, why did they throw him under the bus? I mean, the new guy did, right? He basically apologized, according to Congresswoman Luna, for his behavior, former director Kirkpatrick's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that in this community. That doesn't happen with IC. So why did he get thrown under the bus? There's some keys there. The other keys are, why is it that he's essentially hugging it out with the UAP caucus and showing up in photos with them? There's red flags there for me. So now all of a sudden Arrow's back in the good seat, and I just don't think that they should be. I think they've worked the political system.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, they were just about ready to get ran out by Luna, right? Take their fund and give it to the FBI. So I have some issues with that. What I'm saying is you still can't trust the motherfuckers.
Thank you. And you're someone who went through the process. This isn't like some random hearsay dude. You straight up talked in a skiff and dealt everything that they all did. You know what I mean? So you're
been to
speaking
Arrow's
firsthand.
secret location, been to the Arrow skiff, confirmed by Tim Phillips, also accused by Tim Phillips. I'm telling you, I've been through the real deal. Nobody's fucking going to Arrow, and I know that because whistleblowers that aren't known still approach me, still go through the contacts to get to me, and they ask me about what the system's like. What would I recommend? I've always recommended you don't go through Arrow. You don't come out and talk to people. I have connected them to some of the other alphabet agencies, but still today, as I stand here and you ask me that, Vito, don't fucking go to Arrow.
Right.
Is there an agency that you can honestly say,
good question,
isn't corrupted fully into the sense that, like, you would recommend to anyone out there that may listen, that may come across this, that may hear it, that maybe needs that one last push? Where would you send them?
Well, so again, I mean, just because I really like people to understand how the system works. I mean, that's kind of what I think this panel is good about. We got different views and different knowledge points. So step one, you can't reach somebody if you want to. People try. Burleson's phone can only take so many phone calls. There's no public facing for Arrow, and in Arrow's last report they did, I can't remember how many hundreds of phone calls or thousands they got, but they said they had deemed 7 people were worth a phone call follow-up. So they called 7 people, right?
Yeah.
Not invited you into the skiff or anything. So I mean, like, yeah. So this idea of like, where would I send them? Well, no one's gonna fucking talk to you unless you probably go through, and I've connected people like I said, and I think other folks, whistleblowers, as we'll say, have connected them. But that's the first problem. So who would you go to? I'm going to bite my tongue a little bit on this because I'm still working out through this.
Okay,
You'd be
fair
amazed
enough.
at how many agencies are like my best friend right now. Does that mean I trust them? I mean, come on, right? We know better. So
Never trust.
Oh yeah,
always, I'll just leave it with this. No matter who you talk to, always keep in mind that they are law enforcement. It's stuff you need to know.
At
So
the end of the day, they have
yeah,
that duty essentially.
no matter, well, they have that duty, give them the credit, but also let's look at how it's been used. And that is if they want to accuse you of something or put the heat on you, you're talking to the wrong or the right people. If you start going in there and telling them where you saw the answer to this program, if you're a believer in that, what were you doing there? Did you have access? I mean, that's what we're here about today, right? The
Mhm.
Right.
ramifications of what happens to you. So just keep that in mind for anybody. Not everybody's out there looking for the truth in the sense of thank you for coming in. When your job is law enforcement, even as a federal level, you're still putting little red marks by, oh, we've got a violation, we've got something broken here.
But let me ask everybody this. Is it now pursue is the thing that this is the entity that is also doing the tranches. I think someone just said this.
Yeah, Scooby said it.
But and he reminded me to kind of like touch on this. They've kind of at this point, I mean, the videos aren't like the craziest thing we've ever seen, right? I know Mike, we've all talked about the videos. Brian probably shares like somewhere in a similar opinion that they're not like the groundbreaking evidence that we need, but
It's something. It's official.
it's something.
It's something.
And that almost might be the double-edged sword, right? Because like at the same time, I'm kind of giving them this credence in my head, like, okay, have they not at least tried? And that's my thing is like, has this agency tainted itself like Arrow has? I don't think so just yet. So could they prove to be somewhere that maybe is potentially this new, not warmer, but a different approach to dealing with things like this, where people don't have to feel afraid. People don't have to, wonder if they're going to actually be taken seriously. I mean, this is what goes through my mind. Like, is this not at least showing signs of something new? This Pursue campaign group, whatever you want to call it.
I just want to know who they are. Who's in it? Like if it is the Avi Loeb group, I'm not that worried about them per se. But if it's a group of people made up of people who have something to do with Arrow, FBI, CIA, etc., then I'm kind of worried about them a little bit because then they might have alternate means. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I see. Thank you to whoever clarified that for us. I see now that Pursue is that Department of War.gov website that has been releasing these things. This new entity, new branch, whatever you want to call it. It seems like Arrow has some inherent stink to it. So if they didn't get rid of it for whatever reason, then they cannot solely rely on Arrow as the only place to direct these comments because it's now has a soured reputation. So now we've had a little bit of progress with this Pursue website with these releases. So it has built back some of that public trust, so to speak. Although the releases have been less than, compelling, they have at least given us something. And early on, I think Arrow gave us a few things, but this is obviously much more comprehensive, despite the poor resolution of these videos and photos that are released, and the mixing in of just a bunch of nonsense that really shouldn't have been released in the first place, just to kind of muddy the water. So, I guess overall, I'm of the opinion that any presidential administration who wishes to communicate to the public that they are going to take this issue seriously as we wish they would, they'd first start by sitting the president down on camera to address the nation.
Mhm.
My fellow
Mhm.
Americans, this is how they should do it, but that's not what they're doing. Instead, they're delegating out this responsibility to these nameless, faceless agencies where the public perception of them is mixed. And it has yet to, we've yet to see exactly what the rest of these releases are going to look like. But I do feel like this is, they're giving us just enough to stay happy, but I don't think that they really want to tell us what they really know. And in an effort, this is the optics part of it. If the president comes out and he says, I have now given permission for whistleblowers to come forward and break their NDAs, but they have to keep it essentially internal to the federal government anyway. The
What's the
public,
point?
the public, the less savvy public might see that as, oh, look what the president's doing for disclosure. Okay. And in reality, it's really just a little more clever masking of this disclosure effort. So there's this
Well,
perception that something's being done, but in reality, perhaps really nothing is getting done.
well,
And
hold on,
This isn't.
guys.
Yeah, this isn't
Hold
nothing.
on. No. Hold on, everybody. Though,
Yeah.
we can't just expect that the U.S. government is going to commute NDAs and then let them go to the Wall Street Journal. Like, we gotta be, and this is my whole point, is we have to be willing to meet them halfway, right? And if we show good faith on our end, like, all right, listen, we get it. We can't have like these, like, because if something is a national security threat, and I know they like to throw that banner around, but let's face facts. There are things that need to be kept secret.
For sure.
Can we all agree that there are secrets needing to be kept?
Yes.
yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So when you commute people of their O's and NDAs, you run a real risk of someone getting the wrong idea and going to an outlet and then burning, and putting real people's lives at risk. And so I understand why it's behind closed doors. And if we do believe in our government's representation of the people and the people that we are sending to Congress and the people that we are sent, and in Massachusetts, I know me and Gene, we don't support the person we have, but or at least their involvement in this is lackluster at best. We need to send the right people to represent us, because that is how this government is built. That is how the people are represented in these halls. So I have no problem with it being behind closed doors until such time as it's made a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm okay with that, but what about those guys who already came clean, like Whistling Mike? Whistling Mike already told all there was to tell that he could, correct? Like, I'm assuming he spilled the beans like a goddamn, little girl who skinned her knee. So what about guys like him, guys like Dylan Borland, guys like Matt Brown, who went through the process, did what they were supposed to do already, and now can they talk? Because now they've already spoken. They've already spoken to Arrow. Why do they got to go back and talk to them again?
Well, I think on that part we may.
You've got everything already on camera. It's already according to Jeremy Corbell, everything Borland said was recorded, right? I'm just going by what they're saying. Everything they said was recorded, right? So if we're assuming that what he's saying is correct, everything that they said was recorded, why does he now have to go back and talk to Arrow again? I did this already. I've testified in front of Congress. I'm Dylan Borland. Why do I need to speak to again? Why can't I now go on News Nation with Ross Coulthard? Why can't he go on and tell us what the Rubik's Cube is? Or what the triangle is, and that's what people are asking. This is what X is asking, and people are. Why can't these guys now talk? And if it's because of the NDAs, etc., then that needs to be explained and clarified. And if they need to go back to Arrow, it doesn't make sense.
Hold on.
And
I'm sorry, Gene.
What say, Gene?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So and again, I just add to your point, because it's almost, you're almost kind of sounding like the abused, spouse that it's that that well,
he
I
only
sound
hits.
like the
He only
national
he only
Hey,
beats.
hey, hey,
I
take
gotta
it easy
meet
there,
him.
Ike.
I gotta meet him halfway. I gotta,
Right.
I'll take what I can get. Well, it's not really an apology. It's kind of an apology, and I'll take it that way. You know, there's a, but we, and yes, I agree. The national security stuff. You know, I think there's enough discernment that these people would have that whether they're actually talking about a potential nuclear program that expiring, or they're talking about UAP kind of stuff. And the fact is, again, we've been lied to for 80 years. So no, you don't get as much grace and you don't get as much credit. Um
Okay.
and I think probably the happy medium perhaps is a whistleblower's coming forward. These are the high level things they're going to speak to,
Mhm.
and after we hear these general subjects that they're going to speak upon, then they will be allowed. Then so long as there is nothing related specifically to other areas that are sensitive, they are going to be allowed to speak publicly and share what they shared. We just have to make sure, number one, that they haven't misidentified another program or something like that. Then we have expectations set, and then the person can speak to, well, on this high level topic, what they explained to me is that I probably misidentified something, right? I don't think I did, but they're saying I misidentified. Like, even that's good information, right? Because we'll be able to start seeing patterns. We'll see how we'll be able to relate it to organizations and things like that. So there's transparency even within a very high level overview. But I think the concern, at least my concern, um like you said, is we're not going to get any further than we've gotten with the existing whistleblowers who have already testified, who have already been told what it is that they're allowed to talk about.
Right.
But isn't it that stuff that that line in every hearing that we all fucking hate? Well, I can't talk to you about that unless we're in a skiff. Well, from what I'm gathering, this is the boundary that is now down. Now we can talk about that stuff, right?
But wouldn't they
That's not
talk to Arrow in a
how
skiff
I
though?
read it.
Right. Wouldn't they talk to? If they're talking to Arrow, it's going to be in a skiff, is it not? And that's
Correct.
my point. If people have
No,
already
that
spoken,
is not no, because most of the people that testified to Arrow, including Bob Salas, including Mario Woods, including I mean, I'm kind of drawing blanks now, but a lot of them, they were just simple phone calls. They didn't bring them into a skiff. No, they did it in phone calls. Fucking Salas recorded the whole thing. So did Mario, and I have copies of both. I heard how they treated these guys. They fucking barely listened.
Ty, I completely respect what you're saying regarding meeting them in the middle. With my work, I often keep this in mind when my audience is obviously the public and not trying to sway policy. So I'm always keeping in mind meeting people where they are. If you're expecting someone who is completely uninitiated to this topic to suddenly become interested, there's a shock version of this story, and then there's the gentle disclosure day Spielberg version of this story that you can use as your entry point for folks who are uninitiated. So I totally get where you're coming from. I'm not sure what your guys' opinions are of Stephen Greer, but he, in my opinion, made a good point about this specific thing we're talking about here, where he was critical of people like David Grush, and other whistleblowers coming forward and saying, I'm sorry, Congressman, I can't reveal that information unless I'm in a classified area, SCIF like setting, because that information is classified. And Stephen Greer, he comments on this saying that some of these programs are operating outside of the constitutional government and are thus not legitimate programs. So therefore the information is technically not classified.
Because it's a derivative from illegal program.
Right.
Kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
So that does make a whole lot of sense. And so are these whistleblowers aware of that in the first place? Because they might think that they are under these legitimate NDAs with classified programs. And I think we have it. I get the feeling, you guys probably are more familiar with this than I do, but if I could pull in Marvel just a second, where what's it? Hydra infiltrated Shield. And
yes.
is Shield.
That is literally what fucking happened in real life, though, dude. That is straight up what happened.
That's what I think is happening. And so
that is what happened.
We have people thinking they're serving Shield when in reality they're
Hydra.
actually Hydra.
Yeah,
but they're still
the...
they want to do the right thing. Well, so they think they're going through the right channels, but they don't need to be so tight-lipped, because what they know is had been done under Hydra, which is outside of the constitutional government. So that made a whole lot of sense to me. Greer's been doing this for a long time. I don't know if we can I don't think we can trust any government institution, no matter which president is in power.
100% agree.
100%
agree.
And with the folks I talked to, I'm just going to throw out my friend, Dr. Allison Brown, who is her husband's a channeler, and they do some cool things there. But she always tells me that disclosure must come from within. And I interpret that to meaning, okay, each one of us has our own journey into acceptance and all of this stuff. But I generally feel like the government, politics and law are downstream from culture. So once the once the mainstream populace really adopts this as everything that we're talking about is normalized in our society, the government's really going to have no choice but to address this. And I think past few years they've just started to realize that pressure is there. They have to start doing something, but they don't want to do the bare minimum. That's what it seems like.
I agree. Well, Gene, I think you still had a point to kind of finish. Am I correct?
Gene went to go look at himself in the mirror, because damn, he's looking good. You guys got to admit. I don't know if it's I don't know what diet you're on, what hair care product.
It's the goatee.
He just went on vacation.
Literally, I got a haircut today.
That's what I wanted to do, and
he just went on vacation, and now he's all
my little Italian barber.
I look like a beetle.
And got that taken
care of. I got to get a haircut before tomorrow's because we're doing an in-studio episode tomorrow. Brian is actually going to be on the live episode next Thursday. We're going to be talking about Brian. What are we going to be talking about? I just want to plug this real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Real quick. We all are familiar with the famous gimbal UFO footage, which looks like we have this flying saucer, this disc with a bulbous midsection and kind of going through the clouds and kind of turning like that. Long story short, NASA's rover photographs have recorded the same shape in the sky of Mars multiple times.
Got him. Love it.
So we've got some really cool photographs there to share.
Nice. Good shit. You see that rod?
The one thing I did want to add to Brian, your comment, and good to meet you, is in that idea of, are they actually working for who they think they're working for? Now, I've seen this in the corporate world as well. I remember a specific case. There was a guy that worked inside the FBI who had been offered a job he believed was working cyber issues for the family that owned Shell Oil. And he had brought it up again. Somebody knew some of us in and was like, that doesn't sound right. and it was impossible to convince this guy that he was being hired for something else that had nothing to do with the company, but they had flown him on a private jet and everything else, and ultimately, I don't know what happened with it, but it became, sort of a big investigation, to try and figure out who these people were and what they were trying to accomplish. But to your point, how do we find out? The only way we find out is somebody just spills the beans on everything and rolls the dice to see if the government comes knocking on their door, with a subpoena to appear, for their trial for violating those agreements.
So we kind of need someone, and this is like, this will probably be a kind of more hot take, but we kind of need someone with nothing to lose and someone who has that mindset of I have nothing to lose. No, if like no, I'm not trying to be like, we need someone with a mental illness, but we kind of do. Like
Listen, that's me, right? Anybody wants to come and tell me the stuff to then, let out there, I'll do it. I've seen, minimum security federal prisons. They're not bad.
They're not bad.
Not a bad look.
No, they're
3
not that
hots
bad.
and a cot, and you
Yeah.
get 12 hours out of the rack. So yeah.
I can sit and stare at a wall all day. I was
Gene's
trained.
taking the rent's too damn high to another level. He's just gonna go in.
I'll do 5 years standing on my head. It's not a big deal.
Gene, you should see him when he locks in for an episode to do the cameras and stuff. He's like looking at a wall. He just goes to autopilot. He really could. And the pretzels, you fucking bitch.
Make sure you chew on the mic. Make sure he really likes when you chew on the mic.
No, I hate it.
They're not crisp enough.
I know. That's what I'm telling you to do it.
Let me throw this in there if I can real fast.
Let's get back.
There's a saying, which is that you don't need a good lawyer, you need a good judge. And when you fight the United States government, that's incredibly important, because it's literally like the judge is already on their side, right? That's a hard fucking case. They're appointing the judges more or less. So you go through things and you think, what could happen? Well, here's a couple little things that could happen to you. Legally, if you look up from the Department of State ITAR, if you share any information that you may have or gathered or gleaned with anyone that you haven't documented by birth certificate, to ITAR regulations work when you approve people for the information, then you've committed a crime that can be punishable by X amount of years in a federal penitentiary or millions in fines per instance. And they use this shit to come at you, and there's all sorts of stuff. You wouldn't believe some of the things, like my own legal teams, like, we got to look up what the fuck it is. Think back to John Kiriakou, who got tried on stuff like they hadn't used in like 200 years. You know what I mean? They all of a sudden pulled some shit out of the book to come and get you.
Brennan was like, literally, get him on whatever we can get him on.
Yeah, right. So it's never been used before in the history of the U.S. So, I mean, all I'm saying is, it's not that Brian doesn't have a good point. It's not that I don't agree that you'd be right. It's just, it's real fucking hard to say you have nothing to lose. I think you got to take it another step. I think you maybe got to say, like, you want to turn around backwards and run through a cornfield or something on top of nothing to lose. Like, it's a whole other fucking level of you're going to get it's over, so there is that.
We're gonna need and I hate to say this, but the Edward Snowden, the guy that's willing to move to Russia,
just drop it and dip. Like, here you go.
Yeah.
Boom.
And like people on the inside, people like Elizondo, they fucking despise. You know how I know if someone is still working or loyal to the U.S. government? Ask them about Ed Snowden. Whatever their answer is will be really telling on where their loyalty lies. Elizondo, they all hate him, right? Everyone else
he said that before. Yeah,
necessary evil is what Snowden was. He did put people at risk, and he knew what he was doing. He knew he was putting people at risk, but that risk was worth the reward. And I'm not defending Snowden. I'm not taking a political side in that, but I mean, we need that type of person, unfortunately, who's kind of like a narcissist to a degree, someone who's not gonna like, like will like just plant themselves in a fuckhole like Russia for the rest of their lives and never be able to come back to the U.S. Like,
Well, I'll add two things to that. I think it's important. The Snowden kind of references that when things actually went to trial and they pulled in generals in uniform and basically flat out asked them, "Are you spying on the United States of America?" They lied, and we know that they lied. Nobody lost a pension. Nobody got demoted. So again, just in reference to like what it's like to go against the United States government.
well, someone said it.
It's not as easy. They can lie all they want. You can't. Second, I just want to put it there on the Snowden thing, and I think this is real important. Is he had evidence? Now, it's not that I don't believe these stories and whatnot, but it's like I tell a lot of people that ask me about going to Arrow. I say, "Do you have the fucking evidence in your hand?" Like Tim Phillips said, "Yeah, he's got physical materials. He's got." If you don't have the fucking evidence and you're going to Arrow to say, "Here's where to go get it," you can't pull a Snowden because all you still have is a story, and that's the problem with trying to find one of these guys with nothing left to lose.
So we need essentially what we need is the modern. Okay, so now I'm going to switch it. We need the modern day Bob Lazar. If that true, okay. Ah, shit. Maybe I should have used this example. It splits people. Let's just work off the pretense that it's true and that he got like a piece of element 115 out, right? Let's say that story's true. That's what we need, is what you're saying? Someone to get out of one of these facilities with something exotic that can be definitively proven to be part of a reverse engineering program.
We need another Bob Lazar if he was telling the truth, if his records didn't get erased by the government and his education, and he didn't run a brothel. We need a guy with some evidence to come out and fucking put it down.
They
But
say that he has the
Hold on,
115.
hold on, man. I'm highly offended at the run of a brothel.
So does Knapp. He knows where it's buried, but you know what? It's just the fucking UFO circuit, which is where we're going to get to in this conversation today. Like there is some actual, we got to call it like it is and say that there is some bullshit running in the community. It's not all fucking poor whistleblowers. What's going on right now.
You know what? Fucking slick, brother, slick way to slide into a different story. And we'll kind of go back and forth, I assume. But someone that we had here on one of the panels a couple months ago, Patrick from Vetted maybe we should play the video because I'm not really good at explaining this. But Patrick,
there's other familiar faces in that video.
What?
He's bragging because he was in it.
There's lots of familiar faces in that video
because he was in it.
Oh,
Gene, is that a mask or is that you, man? You don't even look like the same person.
That's me.
That's not him.
Let me just.
That's his
I've been moisturizing too.
CIA tricks and shit again.
Where is it? So many people. Okay. I got it pulled up here on my thing here. Let me just add it to the stream, guys. Sorry about this. But I want to say this first, because do I think what Patrick's doing here is smart? Time will tell. Do I agree with what Patrick is saying? I'm going to probably decline to kind of comment on that right now. There is definitely some validity to what Patrick is saying, but I think if Gerb and Patrick were in the same room, I think Gerb would wipe the floor with like any sort of debate, any sort of like. But I don't think that's what Patrick's trying to do. I think Patrick's trying to bring light to like, hey guys, the podcast bros that are out there, as much as we love them, or as much as you don't love them, what they're doing, there's something more to this, because these guys are popping up overnight and they're often you can run a line and follow the money back to some sort of like Peter Thiel character. And while I don't inherently believe that there is some giant psyop being worked from that side of the aisle, all right, the podcast like disclosure side, I'm definitely not quick to dismiss it either. Um, I do find some of the things odd, some of the access, some of the stories I've heard behind the scenes, um, that people have told me in confidence. Gene, you've been there for some of those. Um, I'm not trying to say trust, just saying it's not my story to talk about. But I think that I think this is going to open. What I think Pat did here was interesting because he opened a can of worms that I'm surprised hadn't been opened sooner. So let's take a look. Sorry, that was a little drowned on. Where is it? Did it add? No, there it is. All right, guys, make sure you guys can hear it. Just give me the old you can hear it if you can hear it.
So why isn't
We got it.
Thank you.
getting UAP GERB to give up his sources? Right? These are people within the government because they don't exist. Why would UAP GERB have such secret sources? He just allowed to walk around. You don't think China, Russia would be going after this podcaster who came out of nowhere a few years ago? Again, like I said earlier in the video, I don't think GERB is lying in the sense that it's not like he's not talking to anybody. He's talking to people. It's just that the people he's talking to aren't in some secret UFO legacy program. And GERB is utterly convinced that that's what it is. And I'm sure if he's watching this, he's thinking, you have no idea, Patrick. Yeah, I bet you have no idea. So why isn't
So,
Eric Burleson getting you?
so what guys, what are we dealing with here?
I just
Does everybody know who UAP GERB is? Does everyone know who Patrick is?
I do.
Okay, so I don't need to go over that.
I'm not familiar with these folks. No.
Okay, so on the right of the screen, the one in the hoodie, there's a guy named UAP GERB. He is very knowledgeable. He's very, very good with like breaking down complex language and looking for these like agencies, these really like obscure agencies. And he does really like
Mhm.
long videos
Yeah.
that are not for the faint of heart. Like you have to be in the mindset of like, I'm taking notes. Like his videos are good for research if you really want to deep dive something
Yeah.
about like the 3-letter agencies and some of the ones that have been kind of hidden in plain sight, which I think is great. But he's also been making the rounds on the news with Burleson, and he's often citing sources from within the legacy UFO program. This is also the same for guys like Jesse Michaels.
Mhm.
Whether you hate him or love him, again, I'm keeping myself unbiased or non-biased. So people have a real problem with this because of the trust me kind of attitude that is inherently inside that and it comes with that. So then you have the guy on the left, Patrick, who runs the show Vetted, and he kind of he doesn't really do interviews as much. I mean, he does interviews, but what he does is he made a documentary about psionics, and he is essentially calling GERB out and saying, you guys are essentially allowing yourself to be psyoped by people who are claiming to be inside these legacy UFO programs so that they can get their narrative out into the masses. Because Jesse, UAP GERB, guys like Chris Ramsey, they have the largest channels in the community. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I always wondered how Jesse Michaels got so popular so quickly.
Well,
Because
Peter Thiel's
he
money,
he dropped David Grush. Like the dude's dropped a lot of big name people right now. So
yeah.
and his production. Listen, hey Ty, move the TDP logo off your face. You can't see you. He does great editing. His everything is great. Everything's very well put together with Jesse Michaels. That's a great story. And all these guys are in that little circle. It's kind of like, all right, it's kind of like me, Eugene, and Joe and Gino. Like, we're all like buddy, and it's
Hey,
like
fuck you.
and Mike, and we're like the little clique. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have like a little clique, and that's kind of what they are. They just have bigger names. So that's Patrick's pissed off about this Gerb guy.
They
He's
just got
definitely
somebody funding it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
That's what
absolutely
it is.
they do.
They just have
But
you know.
But isn't Patrick part of that UAP bro crew? Kind of, sort of. You know what I mean? Like, isn't he kind of with the? I'm not. No. Listen, I'm not shitting on Patrick, but he's part of that. No. I'm not shitting on Patrick whatsoever. I like Patrick. I don't have a problem with him whatsoever. But he's a part of that class of whatever the year is of that crew of content creators that came out. Him, Polarity, Gerb, fucking, and there's a couple of others that all came out around the same time, and they're all kind of like blowing up at the same time together. So that's kind of how I kind of always saw Patrick grouped into that with like the Chris Ramses and the Jesse Michaels and those guys. I mean, if he's not, my bad. I'm not shitting on him. I just kind of see him as being a part of it. But you can't say UAP Gerb doesn't have access to people. That's asinine. He does.
He definitely does. And
I'll say that if you scroll down, my comment to Patrick was very, very well job. Good job, Patrick. It's on the video. So
yeah,
I just
listen, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever.
Who does Gerb have access to?
Yeah,
Gerb has access to.
Guys, one at a time.
No, I'm gonna make mine quick, and then I'll let kind of Gene go here, which is to say, there's lots of stuff that pops into my mind. Right? There's the fact that you just said follow the money. Now Gerb's on with Ross, interdimensional portals on National Forest Service. There's all sorts of shit. There's the fact that he's doing podcast and leading Burleson on. Another one of Burleson's what I called visors, maybe not official, was just I got the clip sent to me about 10-foot tall giants that eat people in Afghanistan, and it's like I forget the fucking guy's name.
Kandahar giant, and
but I mean, it's just like, so let's get
Timothy
to the point
Alberino.
here. Do we want to get back into having a space and we pick our crews and we battle each other, which is really what I think we got to be careful we don't get into the drama of X, or do we want to stick to the point? And the point of it is, and I'll put it on me, I've told this story before, one of the times standing outside the SSCI skiff with the staff waiting on some of the senators to get there before we went in, another SSCI staff member came up. He kind of was trying to wave the guy I was standing by over. The guy said, just go ahead and say what it is, like we're getting ready to go in a meeting. And the guy said that basically who we now know as Grush had just got approved. Mellon had called, and they were going to do the article in the paper that never came out. And the story went on and on and on. And so at the end of that, before I went into the skiff, I said, what the fuck, man? Why are people coming into the skiff now having to tell their story to a newspaper? That's not what I'm here for. And what was fucking told to me was that basically nobody on the SSCI staff believed Grush. Now, you can believe Grush, so don't jump on me about that. What I'm trying to say here, and we just talked about this is, and this goes into Gerb, do you have actual sources of people who are holding physical fucking material and proof in their hand? I don't even care if he supposedly does to this legacy program, but he doesn't hand them off to Burleson or whatever else is. And if you have it, then that's it. That's the story. But if you don't have physical proof, like we've been talking about, actual evidence in your hands, not where to go look, not what 15 acronym departments to go look, and you look on Google and there's the head guy, must be him. Do you have physical proof? And the fact of the matter is, none of these fucking people did, which is why SSCI didn't deal with them. And they went to the house, and that's the problem we're at right now, is we just got fucking stories.
What about things like what, has been rumored to be in the possession of like Jacques Vallée? And because Jacques Vallée, and Gary Nolan, this also applies to guys like that. We can't forget this. So, and these guys are they're a bit different than the other ones, right? They are working with material with different things that, when if properly analyzed and brought to light, I think could move the needle. what do we make of that sector and the Gary Nolans, the materials that we know that are out there?
If I understand right, Nolan has told that story and said, as always, it gets yanked away at the last minute, and it's always by the same people. Look, people aren't going to think I'm picking on people, but I want to make a point here, which is evidence being hidden from you, or is it unverified stories? And I think that's important because when Burleson, who I actually, we've got each other's phone numbers, I'm not picking on him here, but when he went down with Greer to go see the Tridactyls,
And the
one of the things he
Boogosphere.
said that he was told by David Grush to go and view at them, and David Grush felt like those ones may be fake. If I'm quoting this right, I'm kind of going off memory, but if he went further south, I can't remember which country it was. That's kind of what he said resembled the photos that he had seen. So, are we basing the story that aliens and tridactyls are real based on a photo that David Grush seen that wouldn't be recent, or is there a real fucking body that the government has? And the fact of the matter is it's photos. So again, when we talk about this material that we know exists, who knows that, and what is the material? I think again is go back to Lazar. We're basing this on some claims and some unverifiable stories,
Well,
and
no.
that's the
Jacques
lead.
Vallée was working with others that who and Jacques showed the materials. He has them in cases, and apparently, like when he walks around with them, he will not let them out of his hands. He won't let them go, and like someone will be like, I could hold that for you if you wanted, and he goes, no, like these things have a tendency of disappearing. So like Jacques is a little different, I feel like, in the terms of like his. I think he's earned the credibility of like if at least if he's bringing something to the table, I think we should be at least have it analyzed by the best labs. Because he's got a pretty high threshold for like bullshit and what's not bullshit, what's he's got a good head on his shoulders. And I think he always has. Gary Nolan, you could argue he may be compromised to some degree. I mean, he blocked me on X for no reason. Never talked to the guy in my life. Only have ever said positive things about him because I think what he's doing is absolutely fantastic. The guy's a self-made like millionaire. He doesn't need money. He's doing this for the love of the game or by someone's directive.
Well, I
And
just want to make sure I heard this right. Did you say Jacques did or did not have material that had been analyzed by the best labs?
I think if Jacques has material that he can bring to the table, I think we should be allowing that to be analyzed by the best labs, right?
I agree. I agree with you. Again, I mean, is it alien or is it U.S. tech or is it part of a rocket booster that went down in the '60s? But again, we got Gerb and Patrick going at each other, and people are picking sides instead of saying, "Here's some motherfucker that says he's got the evidence and's had the evidence and apparently walks around with the shit." Like, if that's the answer, like, this is the problem with what we're going through here. Do we really need Trump to do this, and we got pursue, or do we just need the fucking evidence from this guy who's willing to say he has it, and I guess is willing to say it's alien? Like, again, where's element 115? Like, the whole story, I just have a problem with. Why are we looking
Yeah.
for shit in files from 80 years ago and subpoenaing
I can't
uncooperative witnesses?
yeah, no, I simply can't argue with that. Because I think stories can only bring us so far. Stories are the entry point that you go, okay, if this was like an investigation, right? If we were investigating the phenomena and like the whole community, we'd go, we have enough stories to point to something there's something happening. Now, what's the next step? What's the next step? Or what's the next phase? Where do we go next? And the next step would be to collect the physical evidence rather than the testimonial evidence, right? And that's
Incorrect.
where do you go next?
Incorrect. Then you have to validate the person telling the story. They have to have proximity, they have to have access, they have to have been in the right places at the right times. That's what doesn't get done deep enough.
Okay,
right?
fair.
And if you're a private individual who comes into the, particularly if you're a journalist of any degree, and you come into possession of materials, you have no legal restrictions on sharing those materials outside of, just sort of journalistic integrity of blocking out names and, personal identifying data and some things like that. There's nothing to stop you from releasing it. And if you have the material, and generally, you of course want to go through some kind of process to vet the materials that you have, right? So you've done something to vet the individual who's bringing it to you and their background, and they're somebody that you can prove works in the right places at the right times, and as deep as you can go. And now you're confident in the individual, so the materials they bring, again, do they fit the story? There's nothing after that point, if you're convinced you have all of these materials that tell this story, from stopping you from putting it out there.
Yeah, just because I've got to say this, and this is important again. Who are the fuck are we dealing with here? All the big journalists, all the big shows, all the top ones, the people you fucking love, and I've got the receipts, all reach out to me, all want to do shows, all want to release it, and every one of them motherfuckers wants a photo of what I've already told them is U.S. tech that defies physics, anti-gravity, and they want to put on there, and it's the biggest story. You'll do this, you'll do this, you'll do this.
Mhm.
These are the same motherfuckers that every time I watch a goddamn show, a podcast, somebody sends me, are like, I'm protecting my sources. That motherfucker wanted to show U.S. black tech on the fucking TV so they'd have the biggest story of the year. They're bullshit with the fucking sources. You're not protecting anybody. That's why I go with Patrick, that there's not a fucking thing there.
Right. And that your example alone, right there, is that they're willing to put it out there. They're willing to put your stuff out there, but why not somebody else's?
Right.
Why not something else that they hold? Right? That's what I'm saying. It's, this is, again, it's a managed process. These people are avatars, right? They fit a bill of somebody who looks a part in the communication spectrum that they want filled, and they're just fed what it is that needs to go out. And again, for all of Gerb's stuff in those interviews, I mean, yeah, they're good, they're dense. A lot of it's wrong, a lot of it's not correct, a lot of it's big leaps and big jumps that are just sort of stated in a way that make them seem like fact.
Are you doing it?
Did I lose
You're
sound?
muted, guy.
What do you guys think about the idea that, because one part of what Patrick did say was that it is a psyop specifically. So that would mean, what the implication of that would mean is that someone, whether it is Peter Thiel or a combination of handlers, these people are getting access to guys like Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis and the Weinstein, Eric Weinstein, all this rogue, it's a fuck ton of them. I mean, it's like access to whoever they want, whenever they want, anytime they want. And that's cool. Like I just assumed it was because of the growth. I wasn't really saying like, oh, I think like the fact that they have these crazy sets and stuff like that. Yeah, I think there's definitely some venture capitalism money in there somewhere, for sure. Like no doubt about it. But
Well,
do you guys think that whoever's funding these shows and this effort, do you think that they are running a psyop to get this like transhumanistic, like aliens wrote the Bible kind of narrative out there? Because that's where we're going. I don't know if anyone can tell.
what they're trying to do is maintain equilibrium. That's the ultimate goal here.
Everybody that made fun, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Let me get this one last thought out. I'm so sorry, Gene. Every single one of these guys started nuts and bolts, right? But slowly, over time, you can literally graph it. All the same stuff Dr. Greer talks about or has been talking about, psionics, like, you know, aside from his idea that they're all like
Interdimensional.
no, that they're all like not evil. Like there's no bad alien or bad interdimensional being. I think that is at its core
Pile of shit.
naive. It's no, I don't even want to call it a pile of shit because it just seems like that is a naive way of thinking, and that is just not how the universe works. There is yin and yang in almost every single circumstance. So without getting off too much on a tangent, because I know Gene was trying to say something, you know, they've all kind of gone from nuts and bolts to this very, very consciousness based, like AI consciousness, interdimensional portal. They've all gotten to the point of psionics and like all that shit that Greer's been talking about for years. And they're the same people that used to ridicule Greer for talking about it. Do I trust Greer? Absolutely not. Do I trust anybody? Most likely not. Right? Very few people I trust wholeheartedly, Gene being one of them, in a handful of folks. And I don't know. Do you guys think this is a psyop coming from whoever's funding, whether they're being handled or the handlers of the people funding it are essentially doing it de facto, like through like many layers?
Gene, you go, buddy, and then I'll throw in.
I think again, I think we're giving everybody too much credit. It's entertainment.
How can Gene? We're talking about Peter Thiel.
I agree with Gene.
It's Oprah Winfrey. She's just as rich.
But she's not sending drones to the fucking war zones that have AI inside them and are just annihilating fucking people.
And so what a great distraction to build an entertainment empire that keeps that again monetizes and keeps the pursuit of disclosure in the public discussion, mixed with legislation and government activity that's all focused on developing new sensor technologies that go from the subsea floor to into deep space, right? All of those interests intersect, right? And the entertainment aspect of it is what keeps the general public talking about everything other than what happens below that layer. That what the actual government movements are and what they actually mean and what is what the geopolitics of this are and what those things mean. Those are the things that don't get discussed because we go down a track and start talking about esoteric spiritualism and consciousness and angels and demons and all the rest of it. So it's, it doesn't have to be a psyop because it's it's in part a marketing tool, right? There's a return on, there's a return on that investment because The numbers are there, the credibility is there. As public speakers, you use those same networks and same connections. Put Gerb in a vest and a tie and get him on MSNBC, and he's an avatar. He looks like a knowledgeable person who is speaking articulately on a subject, over 4 minutes, and then they, and now to the weather with Amy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Gene is saying here. Just getting back to Jesse Michaels for a second. Let's talk about Mr. Beast, actually. Mr. Beast has the biggest YouTube channel ever. But if you go back and you look at his early videos, it's just him sitting in front of his computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came from nothing. If you go back and you look at early Jesse Michaels videos, he doesn't have the same shitty videos that Mr. Beast started off with. He just came
Thank you.
nowhere. And that takes a budget. Where did that budget come from? Right? It took Joe Rogan years to be the most popular podcast ever. And, he's just still using the same old studio, and even his cameras aren't the best anymore with podcasts. I mean, they've become quite sophisticated. What business people inherently understand is that optics sometimes matter more than substance. So I don't know who Jesse Michaels is. I guess he's funded. That makes sense. I don't know if Chris Ramsey's funded. I mean, it sort of took him
No, he's magician money.
I will. Chris Ramsey, that guy is self-made. He was he gave up such a guaranteed career in illusion. Like
With
he could have
magic,
worked on films. He could have taken that to film and Hollywood, and
Sure.
and there's a huge demand for practical illusions on set. Like that kid, he could have gone anywhere, and
Yeah.
he would really, he builds all his sets on, like he's just very
next
close
level.
to them.
Yeah.
Who built that damn skiff, though? You need some help with that one.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
looking.
well, it is cool.
It's cool looking. His editing and his shit's next level, 100%.
But it's like for those of us who are doing all our own production here, I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean,
it sucks. It's because they've Hollywoodized podcasting.
But that's the thing. I mean, it seems like you can't throw a stone without hitting somebody who doesn't have. Everyone's got podcasts these days. It's like the new Facebook page. Oh, it's like you've got your profile. Well, I got my podcast these days, or something, which is an interesting phenomenon in and of itself, because we love communication. It just seems to be the thing that people love. They love listening to other people talk. Now, what inherently demonstrates credibility is production value. So if there is some savvy business person out there saying, let's see if we can fast track a podcast and get it to the top 10 really quickly, or top 5 or top 3, whatever, so that the public inherently understands that simply because it's popular, that must mean it is credible. And we're going to be sitting here talking about who's on Jesse Michaels week in and week out, because that's just what it is. We can sit here and debate whether or not there is authenticity to it. While there might be a chance someone is using this as an opportunity to sort of steer the conversation so that the rest of us follow along, I see things not in terms of black or white, but I do believe most things exist on a spectrum. And I think we have to keep in mind the silver lining here is that the shows like Jesse Michaels, no matter if they're funded or not, are contributing to the overall effort of disclosure by making it more mainstream with the public who isn't savvy enough to even care about these things that we're talking about. They just hear about it. If you hear about it often enough, it's moving. We're progressing through this thing, although there is this inherent challenge for those of us operating more on the grassroots level to try to speak truth to power, even among those who are seemingly on our side, so to speak, but who may not be all that they claim to be. So it might not be this or that, all or nothing. It might be a little of both involved with this. So at the end of the day, Gene, there's the entertainment value of these things too. And inherently, there is some credibility that comes along with that. And I just hope that eventually the public is able, a contingent of the public is able to discern the difference between inherent grassroots credibility. This guy is who he is. We know where he comes from. So therefore, we can trust him versus he's popular. Therefore, we should trust him, right? So it's
Can I
not
make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, by
Oh,
the
this
way,
is
well, I wasn't gonna do a call-in style, but the guys asked to open the line, so oh, I just put the wrong person up. So go ahead, man.
my name is
Introduce
Ryan.
yourself.
My
Thank
name is
you.
Ryan. I've been in this for a while now, but I think you guys are absolutely right. I think what a lot of these celebrities and podcast hosts that we see, like Chris Ramsey, Jesse Michaels, the guys from the night shift, and these folks, I think what the problem is that they never, like if I was to start a podcast like that, I would first take maybe 1 or 2 years to get a good baseline understanding of the subject. I mean, get a good understanding first and get educated before you go on and start uh, uh, talking as some sort of expert. Like the other day, Chris Ramsey had Michael Horn on to talk about the Billy Meyer case. But that just tells me that did he take any time before starting his show to read and get educated on who's credible and who's not credible in this subject before going on and acting as some sort of expert commentary? I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think a lot of these people have not done a good baseline historic perspective on the history of this topic before they get on and are declared to be experts in this subject. Like,
Yeah,
how many of them have actually heard of Ted Phillips? I bet you if you ask some of these guys, they wouldn't even know who Ted Phillips was.
yeah.
Which
I had
is,
him on the show some time back. I love Ted.
yeah, and it just get a good baseline first. Go out on boots on the ground and interview people. Do some, I don't know, read the thousands of documents we have already that are
Well,
been
this is
released through FOIA before you go on and start commenting. That's all I want to say. I think you guys are right. There's a lot of it's annoying.
well, and this is one of the things, and I think you make a valid, super
Well
valid
said, Ryan.
point. Yeah, very well said. Because what you essentially, what I got from that is that, like, we do have a lot of people that are looking to the UFO community right now, and to, like, let's call it. I love what Gene has kind of dubbed it for me, because it really does encapsulate not just the UFO phenomena and community, but like the broader phenomenon. And so the pursuit, so the monetization of the pursuit of truth, right? And that's what now people are looking to, that pursuit of truth and saying, oh, there is a monetization there. There is a demand. And, like, I can't say that I'm not also tapping into that in some way by doing a podcast that is monetized. I just don't I don't, do a spiel in the beginning of the show where I show my shirts that I designed on the merch store and put promo codes up. I do one for a local company that I actually buy brands from. And we'll probably play that in a few. But it's a 90-second thing that gives us time to go to pee. Like that's what we use it for. And I don't make any money off of the sponsorship. It's just I buy the product. I get some of it for free. It's amazing, and it's a good for me. It's a good for I want to help support the actual company, and it's again it's a good thing for me. We make enough in ad revenue where I don't feel the need to like ask for super chats. Do I want them? We have we have a studio that we pay for. We have cameras. Gene knows how much money I've spent like fixing the most mundane little issue in this studio. So exponentially grow that to like what these guys are doing practically overnight. And it is kind of jarring how they're able to pull it off. Chris makes sense because he's a self-made person, right? Self-made magician, self-made illusionist, had a million subscribers on a YouTube channel that he literally just stepped away from to pursue the UFO topic. Should he have done more research? Yeah, but I think people are looking to this and seeing opportunity to be kind of quote unquote famous and be on the cutting edge as well. There is something alluring to like talking about UFOs that there hadn't been this glory to it in years past, right? You were going kind of out on a limb like the Stanton Friedmans. They were jeopardizing their credibility by touching the subject. We are a long way away from that. And that's
Well, I
agree.
agree with
I
you.
agree.
I actually like Chris Ramsey as a person. I think he's
he's
a good
fantastic
guy.
human being.
Yeah, he's a good guy and all that. I just question some of the
others.
I don't.
I've met some of the others. And I'm not gonna lie, man. I was at the congressional hearing. I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I was at like at least out loud. I was at the congressional hearing and I met one of those guys that we've been talking about. Actually, I met several of those guys that we're talking about. And a few of them, like I went up to shake their hand and it was just this like dead
But the
look.
thing I don't understand about Chris Ramsey sometimes is that he'll go on and read. He'll take. He'll have a show and he
Well, let's
will.
not make this about that like the and I don't mean to cut you off. I
No,
don't
that's
want to
fine.
attack. I don't want to sound like I'm attacking. I actually really like Chris. It's not that
Yeah.
I'm like defending him. I just let's not attack like
But-
what he
Yeah.
does. I you know what? I don't disagree.
Overall, let's go back to what you're talking before, and I'll shut up because I tend to go on and on and on. Overall, what you guys are saying makes a lot of sense. That what is the purpose behind this massive funding of some of these guys? There has to be a reason for it. They don't throw out thousands of dollars or venture capital if there's not some kind of reason behind it. So yeah, not personalities. I'm not for personality assassination. I'm just talking about
I
in
appreciate
general
it.
the whole deal of these
Yeah.
podcasters that pop out of nowhere and become these public experts on the subject, when the real experts are people that have put in years and years of, like Robert Hastings.
Now you're
But
on.
anyway, my rant is over with. I'm gonna
Hey.
shut up now. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Hey, hang out, man. Does anyone want to comment on this?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think everybody's saying a lot of the same things, which is just that, to summarize here to folks before we move on, there is a business side to this. And the business side, I don't really necessarily believe could be a psyop, but that's where it becomes the human side, right? how many people have favorite shows, favorite series? It's all based on made up characters and a made up storyline. I'll never forget, back in the day, I had a roommate, and for some reason, his girlfriend had worked it out to where she could come over on her big screen and watch one of the shows and invite all of her girlfriends. And I'd go in there and they'd be drinking wine. They're all fucking crying. And I'd be like, my God, what happened? And they'd be like, oh, so and so cheated on so and so. And I'd be like, that's fake, right? And that's not that person's real name. But like humans, we want this shit. For some reason, we want to watch stuff on True TV that's not true. We want to watch stuff on the History Channel that's not accurate history. And so I can't really just blame the podcasters here as much as I despise them. But the community is eating a lot of this shit up because that's what they want. And so then you go into the podcaster and a personal view. I have talked to several of these people, these podcasters, and you don't see me on their show because we had a talk, and how the talk went is I don't have an entertainment factor, right? I don't have blue aliens. And also that their audience wouldn't like that, and that their algorithm then wouldn't like that. Hate it all you want, but how do you get good at this business? How do you afford this? How do you grow your channel? There is a business side to this. Does that mean anything they show is true? Of course not. But again, whether you're watching these podcasters on YouTube and making money for them, or you're watching Joe Rogan and the story about how they sent a second team of special operations back in there and they saw that the Cal Giants were eating the first team, or you watch fucking soap operas on TV, somewhere or another, someone's making your money. So again, I gotta blame the audience on this one. That's my take.
100%. I mean, I think you've all basically heard me say it before. We are unwitting participants in a reality show, right? That's being produced, and the subjects being thrown out there for everybody to talk about. And you can actually even trace it to, I think it's Promethean, the ones that produce like Skinwalker Ranch and Ancient Aliens, that produce these, reality based TV shows. There are nexuses. There are nexuses there, and that's we're cosplaying a reality show on, in many ways, while the real work and the real, unsexy part of this plays out right under our noses. And that's what we don't comment on, and it's what we don't push our senators and our representatives on, and it's what we don't hold anybody accountable for, because they've a new videos come out, a new photos come out, we got a new tranche of documents that are just expanded versions of what's already in the National Archives.
It's almost like the double-edged sword of having so much content and having so much distraction and like new stuff that's coming out. That's also taken because any one of these whistleblower stories that if they came out 20 years ago, that would be like the headline for the next 10 to 11 years, right? Like Bob Lazar was a phenomenon for people for many years. People followed that story because there was no internet and I mean, there was DARPANET, but and ARPANET, but well, ironically, Jacques Vallée with the intranet and all that. There was that, but it wasn't widely, available to anybody at that point. So, these stories had a way of like being the focal point of ufology,
Right.
where they don't anymore.
And so when everyone's asking the question now, and it feels like it's changing, it feels like it's different. Yes, the system is catching up. The government is, always, in many ways, behind industry in, innovations and in maneuvering, and the government doesn't pivot fast. So it's taken decades to get rid of Cold War thinking.
Yes.
Right, a lot of that had to be by attrition. A lot of it had to be by responding to the changes other governments have made, which can take a decade to begin having impact and things like that. So that's why I say, and I've done other assessments, where I really looked at how key are many of these key figures that if they did not appear on the scene, where would we be now? And the fact is, a lot of them are actually irrelevant. You don't actually need a lot of these people who are the key figures for the things to have happened. They would have happened anyway.
So do you think that guys, someone's got the echo. Vito, I know it's you. It's driving me insane.
What echo?
What do you mean, what echo? Everyone else can hear it.
How do I have an echo?
I don't know.
Because you're in a cave and the killer giant's going to break in and eat your fucking ass in a minute.
Watch. I'm about to mute Vito. Vito is now muted. Can anyone hear that same echo? Ready? I'm going to unmute Vito. And then tell me if you hear the echo.
Wait, what are you
hear it now.
hearing? Because I don't see anything bouncing
I'm
off
hearing myself, buddy. I'm hearing whoever is talking.
I have headphones on. How is that even fucking possible?
I don't know.
Let me see.
I don't know.
Let me see.
We don't know how it's possible, Vito, but you still fucked it up.
Yeah, and turn down that boy band music you got going in the background. That's half of it.
In Sync is going to get me demonetized.
You leave the Backstreet Boys out of this.
You can listen to that on your own time. But I'm more of a Backstreet guy. So anyway, shit, now I lost my fucking thinking.
No, you're fine. So again, I think the whole point here is, and this, just to kind of tie it up and end it, the reason we're having so many religious folks come over is, and people don't like this. You don't necessarily have to have facts. It's entertainment. Every single subject in the world has going on what we have going on. The problem is we got away from doing things like the health environment of eating better and going to the gym to lose weight. And we're just trying to order 5-minute abs off the fucking TV. And that's what we're getting right now for entertainment value and podcasts.
So do you guys think that we have, and I say we collectively as the audience, or the consumer, do you think the consumer has paved the way for the UFO celebrity expert?
Yes, it's the incentive structure. It's not right. It's not just that it's profitable. It's incentivized.
Right.
That every click, every view, every time, it's just like I used to say to my wife. She'd start complaining to me about some weird thing somebody said, in the Russian speaking women's group on Facebook that live in Boston, and she's like, "How ridiculous is this?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's ridiculous. Why are you engaging with it?" And she, "Well, I can't believe it." I said, "Don't you get? That's how the person is monetizing their page, and there's people, whose job and career it is to build a Facebook page or build a YouTube following and then sell it, right? And like we could find a broker and we could buy you a page that's got 2.5 million,
right,
real viewers who don't remember what they subscribe to,
right,
and your stuff will pop up. That's what they do. And how do they build those pages? By putting the most ridiculous thing you can imagine on there, acting as though they really don't know, or some piece of information that everybody knows isn't correct, and then they just argue with them about it, right?
Yeah.
Because the algorithm, and it's just I think I mentioned it recently, in a thing with me where I said the person who made the comment is doing all the work for me. The algorithm doesn't know if those are clicks that people liked it, supported, are arguing. All it knows is there's engagement, there's eyes on it, there's comments on it. It must be important. So
It's
I'm
gonna
going
Yeah,
push
to
it.
yeah.
continue to,
Bad
I'm going
publicity
to,
is good publicity, right?
right, I'm going to continue to push it out and draw people's, attention to it. And anything with your name attached to that then gets, or your account attached to it, reaps the benefits of that amplification.
That was
Right.
one of the reasons I left X. There's monetized accounts on there who, when you're talking about something, want to make sure they engage with you with a nasty or snide comment because then they look at their analyticals and they go way up. This is simple fucking business, people. Like, I'm just not into the whole, psyop thing or someone's funding them. Like, it's just business 101, and it may not be ethically
Okay.
right, but it's there.
Hold on. That means what you're saying is what Patrick did is do this from a business perspective. Right?
Wait, what?
Because if he's monetizing the channel,
Wait, what? I'm sorry. What? Run it by me
Oh,
again
I
one
see.
more
I
time.
see where you're going. So yeah,
yeah,
could you say that? You definitely could, but again, he's on enough channels with enough, as you were talking about, kind of the bros, the podcast bros, where I don't think he would have to do that. And if I do think he was going to do that, I would look at it more of the ruthless sense, and we've seen that. But again, Patrick literally very pleasantly invited to Gerb to a debate. Also said that he pleasantly declined. And you'd mentioned that Gerb would walk the floor with him if they're in the same room. Well, Gerb didn't want to be in the same room, but business wise would say if you were on CNN or Fox or wherever the fuck it was, and now you're next to Burleson, you wouldn't because you're working your way up money wise. So I don't think it's necessarily that with Patrick, because what you would see on that is more of a you got to really light a powder keg, and like it's just kind of dying off. We're talking about it, but it's it's kind of the end. So I don't think so. I think it's just eating at Patrick. I'd prefer to use it, his words, not mine. But I've listened to him some that he's been talking, and even on podcasts, and I think, and that's not a bad thing. It's okay to start looking at what's going on in this scene and some of the stories, and start maybe thinking like, yeah, maybe that shit's not passing the smell test anymore. And if that's what he's doing and he's changing his mind, I would say this community doesn't look well in that, the acceptance of evidence. We're here for entertainment. Like I said, I blame the people watching it, but I wouldn't put that on Patrick just because he didn't make it a big big massive you chicken shit. You know what I mean? Like it would come out different for me to have to accuse somebody of doing it financial wise.
Like he wasn't shit talking. He was just saying, "Hey, I want to debate you," and Gerb said no, and that was it. But what does it really benefit Gerb to accept the debate? Really,
it doesn't. Punching down, never. No matter if you win or like lose, it's never works in your favor optically. So the way that he's probably seeing is this would be, no matter what, a losing situation for UAP Gerb's credibility.
and what's so
Well-
wrong? And what's wrong with him getting on a television show, or getting on a news? I don't see the problem. He's got a pleasant to look at face. He's not a bad looking kid. He's knowledgeable. He's well spoken. I think it's smart to put him on TV. You might not like him. That's totally fine. But I don't understand the
again,
problem with him.
It's the same thing with Dr. Phil, right? That, oh, it's great. Dr. Phil is a credible person. A lot of people watch and
Mhm.
respect and take the thing. And and yes, there's more eyes on it and things like that. But if the message that is being conveyed is a narrative framing that's being directed by the same institutions, entities, which have been lying for the last 80 years, for which are dancing their way around what all the requests are, then then you're just getting secrecy rebranded.
Mm-hmm.
And so he can, and the what you point out exactly, he looks good on TV, he's well spoken, he's young, he's articulate, all of those things builds that instant credibility that it's somebody likable and somebody who speaks well, and I can believe what this person says. The question is what they're saying factual? is what they're saying, is what they're saying neutral, or are they just a spokesman for somebody?
There's no
Right.
real way to tell that. And as Randy just said in the chat, Dr. Phil is being used to get to the normies. That is 100% true. That's the same thing they're using GERB for. They're using GERB to get to us, the UFO nerds. This is, to say this is nothing is silly. This is not nothing. You have Dr. Phil being rolled out on TV to like be the face of disclosure, and people aren't seeing this. I don't get it.
And
I don't get
but
it.
you can't look at it in isolation, because you've got to look at like the aspects of Dr. Phil where he focuses on that credibility question, and he mocks and discards the everyday experiencer and the everyday person making a report by lumping them all together as people who are too drunk to fish, right? Which is inherently saying the only people you can trust are these people who are coming out of the
In the
government
military.
and doing in the military and doing this whistleblowing, right? These are the only figures that you can trust, but these are the same figures who what they're saying is what they've been cleared to say by the same institution that was hiding everything in the first place.
But it's the same. It's the same thing with
DoD
everyday TV, everyday news. It's the same shit. It's
Yeah, I
literally the
think
same
that's what
thing.
Gene's saying. Is this isn't
So does it make
personal?
it
This
okay?
is business. It's
No,
just
it doesn't. I
business.
fucking hate it personally.
So
It's
that's
up
what
to
I'm
us to
saying.
decide, right? Yeah, there's a reason
Right.
why people bought 5-minute abs, right? There's that many fucking people that will convince themselves.
Hey, that's gonna
somehow you
work.
can
That's gonna work,
Yeah,
all
you
right?
somehow you get biceps from 5 minutes of an ab machine, and your body loses all of its hair too. Okay, I mean, we got to quit being those fucking people, right? So see it for what it is. I think people got to really look at, is this just business? Is this just getting the algorithm up? It is what it is. I mean, I don't think it's worth even dragging on. People will make their own choice. And if you're convinced that this religion is real, you will continue to go every Sunday. You will put money in the pot every Sunday, and you will do whatever they say every Sunday, because by God, that's it, even though there's no evidence.
I know, but I mean, but to say that Gerb's not getting information is silly. He's part of that Jesse Michaels crick. He's part of the Corbell. They're all getting stuff told to them that we're not. To say otherwise is asinine, completely
Yes,
asinine.
Telling them, man,
and they'll say it.
Yeah, I've been in the
they'll
skip, Vito. Who's telling them? Like, I mean,
Right.
who could tell them anything more important? I don't want to make it about Gerb or any of these people. It's just the idea of, do we as a community want to keep listening to more podcasters who are now on each other's shows and panels of stories,
As we talk on a podcast,
or do we want to face evidence, right? Gene's got some files he put out. Tim Phillips confirmed I've got physical material. Which one's going which way? And I'm just telling you guys, it's the entertainment version. And I don't think we'd all disagree on this. That always wins in any subject. And there's no reason for us to turn on each other or the fraudcasters. I mean, podcasters.
oh no, not at all.
You know, it is what it is. So there's a big business pushing this. People are making a lot of money. You know, what can we do? We got to just move on, focus on what we can add to the community. Because I mean, it's sickening to me, but that's just me.
Right. And that's what, and that's why I raise things in the way that I raise it, right? And that's why like a lot of the work I'm doing now is focused on putting information together for, businesses and things like that can actually make heads or tails out of what's actually going on legislatively. What do those things mean? All the unsexy stuff. I did like my space this morning, and that's how I'm starting to now tell everybody, this is about information, not about education. If you're here for the woo, it's not for you. Not talking about any of that, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you believe in UAP and you believe in aliens or anything like that, because legislatively and institutionally within the government, there are changes and movements that are being made that are going to have real impacts. There was another thing Eric Hecker had posted that inspired a thought in me, and he was posting about a woman who was a child survivor of abuse in the organization that she started to help other people. And I've often questioned that to a degree. People who come forward and talk about all the government child experiences, experiments, and they're pulled out of school and put on the, taken in a secret van to a secret government facility, and, the whole networks of that. And, by my training program to learn the things that I was taught when I was in that program, where I'm like, well, why isn't your initiative like stopping other children
to
from
save the kids? Yeah. Save the children,
right?
for fuck's sake.
Why is it that all of these key figures who know the truth about UAP disclosure and NHI disclosure, they know the truth is so disturbing, and so shocking, and all of these things that will cause all of these crises amongst all of these groups, right? So now all that information, now I now know this, right? And so my first reaction is, I'm going to start a tech and a science company to create the sensors, or to be ready for when this reverse engineering is, and these things are done. I'm going to be the integration layer, and da 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 da. That was their thought, as opposed to, guys, you know what we should do? We should start an international NGO that focuses on how to help societies, how to help organizations that serve the public, how to help them bring people, because we have all this, we know how shocking this is. We have all of this knowledge, but that's not what they do. They start tech companies to be government contractors.
Which is what's always happened. So again, people, nothing new here. Gene is really just telling you that it is history repeating itself from the
like
business
it
side.
does. Like it does. And actually, Gene, I do have to wrap up, guys. In a few minutes, I got a phone call, and Gene and I are filming an episode in studio tomorrow, which will be out this weekend, probably by Monday. It's a really great episode. We were supposed to have someone else in here. Unfortunately, they couldn't make the flight, so we brought someone else in. Then, in the beginning of August, we have Lenville Logan appearing on the show sometime in August, in the early August time frame. Vito will also be coming up, so we'll be doing a me, Vito, and Gene in the other stage. We have a second stage in the other room, so we'll probably put us in there and do like a cool, just little nonchalant.
See if we can get that ghost triggered again.
Yeah, he hasn't been around in a while.
I want it. I'm telling you right now.
Ready to provoke.
I want that ghost.
Ready to provoke, Gene. You slept and snored the whole last time, bro.
He turned gray, bro. I want that ghost. And I know it can hear me. I want you to mess with the curtains behind Ty right now. That's what I want it to do.
If
it doesn't need headphones.
Curtains behind
that light flicker, make the light flicker.
Shut the light off or knock the frame down right behind Ty's head. I dare you.
That would be
put me on speakers.
Subject.
Put me on speakers.
Well, that's
not to change the subject, but did the Red Sox win again?
I don't fucking care.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't care.
Well, they won 14 games in a row.
I know.
Yeah.
I used to care a lot about sports and all that, but in my later years, I haven't really.
Anyway,
yeah,
it's a good escape sometimes to get away from this crazy field to watch sports. That's what I do anyway.
Right.
Thanks for the show.
Yeah,
Ryan nailed it, and that'll kind of be my exit as we close out, which is I would encourage people to just kind of step away every once in a while. I know, Ty, you had kind of a mini vacation and whatnot, and Gene's rolling around. I'm off X. You don't have to go to that extreme, but I mean, it's good to see things in a different perspective, to jump out. So, I'll just leave it with my new favorite quote that came from Gene just now, which is "The woo ain't for you," to quote the Raven. And thanks for having me, Ty, Vito, you guys, Gene, always a pleasure.
Later, Mikey.
Good to meet everybody as well. So yeah, but thanks for having me. I think this was constructive. I think if people start to listen to these and maybe go back and then think things back over, we could really move forward here versus just the same. What's the new alien story this week? Yeah, I saw some stuff move back there, Ty.
I'm sorry. It was
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, dude.
Do you have any cold chills? Any cold chills or anything?
Did you guys notice anything?
Yeah, your studio's haunted, and I just provoked it. It's gonna be fun when I get up there in 2 weeks.
Your studio's haunted, bro. Your studio's haunted, man.
No, legitimately, it is. If you watch our live interview,
Run that back. Someone run that back.
that shit does some serious stuff during that live interview with me.
Run
Legitimately.
that back at like 148. Someone run that back. Because I'm pretty sure something was just behind me.
Let's see. See if I can bring it up here.
Put
You have cold chills? Any cold chills coming across you? I used to.
Well, the thing is I have fans in front of me that are blowing me. Because it's
wow, you got fans under the desk. What's their names? Good job.
you fuck. Sarah.
You walked into that one, man. You walked into it.
Anyways, thanks for allowing me to call in and ramble on. I'll check you guys next week. You guys have a good one.
Name that fan
You too.
Becky. Nice to meet you, brother.
Thanks for allowing me to call in and ramble on.
Hey, anytime. Ask for the. You guys want the lines open? Ask me. I'll open them up. I'm a man of the people. So.
Vacation and whatnot, and Gene's rolling around. I'm off X. You don't have to go to that.
Go to my where I'm
It's
like
good
full
to see
screen.
things in a different perspective to jump out.
You know,
The frame down right behind Ty's head. I dare you.
I don't.
That would be,
Put me on speakers. Put me on speakers.
Go like a little bit after that.
Did the Red Sox win again?
I don't fucking
I don't
care.
Are you playing the recording?
2 games in a row.
I know.
Yeah.
I used to care a lot about sports and all that, but in my later years, I haven't really.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a good escape sometimes
I
to
don't
get
see
away
it
from this
playing. Is
crazy
it
field to
playing
watch
somewhere?
sports. That's what
No, I don't see it playing either. I hear it.
Who's playing it? Yeah.
I nailed it, and that'll kind of be my exit as we close out, which is I to just kind of step.
All right. Gene,
It's
I'm
Gene.
gonna-
Yeah, it's Gene.
Yeah, it's Gene. I just muted you. But I think if someone go to that 148 mark and see if anything was happening behind me, because
I did. That's what it was running through, and I can't tell if it's. So the light everything does get darker back there.
Yeah, the light flickered.
the
It's
light
like- it's
fucking
not-
flickered.
It's not the light flickering. It's like even the frame gets darker, but it's and it's like trying to pull focus as it does it.
Well, because if the accent light is dimming, if it was
It's gonna draw focus to it.
then the ISO is readjusting
Hold
to
on,
a
I'm
darker
watching it
frame.
again.
If it's going up and down, then the light changes. Ready?
All right.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't do it anywhere else.
Put me on speaker, Ty, so I can get the ghost to do it again. I hope it turns that light right back on.
So without that backlight, you see how it's like it's now readjusted to my face without the backlight? Because it's a completely different lighting. When you have an accent light, it gives the depth that you want into the frame. So
Dude, it's like something passed in front of it because it goes totally black. I mean, it goes 90. It's,
My bad, Ty.
it goes like 98% black.
Hey, Brian, I'm sure you don't know this, but when I was up there, they interviewed me. We had some serious paranormal activity going on because I am a magnet for ghosts, like legitimately a magnet for ghosts.
Oh, that's funny.
and if you watch the episode, the dog stands up on its fucking hind legs and tries to walk on top of the refrigerator. and the dog kept its back to me the whole interview. And then strategically lights start going on and off while we're sitting there talking. Then we lose cameras. We lost all the cameras at once, and then it drained the batteries at the end. It was fucking crazy. Like there's some straight up paranormal activity
yeah, and
in that episode.
in that episode, and then me and Gene were sitting here one time
While we're live, yeah.
while we were live. My fucking microphone exploded.
The
There
cap.
was, yeah, the screw that's in it, literally just like rocketed out. Just I didn't bump it, nothing. That
Mhm.
was like that one was so in my face. But I'm on the top floor here, and I live on the bottom floor of my main house. That's because this is a studio that is above my garage. So this is like a legitimate studio apartment that I changed into a podcast studio. It's like, you know, there's lots of room here. And I'm on the top, and it wasn't dawning on me for a while, but I kept hearing footsteps above me. But I'm so used to living on the first floor that it wasn't registering with
Yeah, you
me
tune it out.
that I was, it just didn't register with me that it was odd, because I was constantly going from floor 1 to floor 2, and there was footsteps that would just walk the whole length of the roof of this above me. There's nothing above me except like a crawl space attic, and I've been up there, and I mean it's creepy. And then the other, like, something's here.
Yeah.
I've
You have more than one. You
You're
have
gonna
more
have to
than
play
one.
that. You're gonna have to play that back.
Yeah, if
and
someone-
see if you can mess
some-
with the contrast or whatever. Because
Someone
if you go
clip that.
frame by frame, it goes totally black. But when you let it run through, it doesn't go totally black.
Interesting.
And when we got there that day, I said it felt like we were being watched. And then as soon as we got upstairs, Gene turned gray.
Yeah,
like,
Gene was out.
Like I thought I'd be doing CPR. I'm a fireman. That's what I do for a living. So I'm looking at Gene going, I'm going to be doing CPR on this motherfucker in about an hour. Like, he don't look good. And then he went and laid down. And then as soon as the podcast was over, Gene rose from the dead and everything was good. It's the craziest shit ever.
It was the craziest. And my dog doesn't do that shit.
Nah.
But my dog's appeared in almost every single in studio episode.
Yeah.
Has never, Gene, how many times has Logan stood up and
Never.
interrupted the podcast?
He glued himself to me, bro. He glued himself
Never.
to me. Your
Never.
dog like my best friend that day.
He doesn't fuck, like, he doesn't fuck around. He
Yeah.
knows, like, when it's business, it's business.
And
he
when I
knows
first went to lay down, he laid with me on the couch.
he did. He laid
Yeah.
with you
Yeah.
instead of because he doesn't leave me. He left me that night. Instead of laying on the carpet right here, he went in with you and like knew you needed to be comforted, or like
Yeah.
something was wrong.
Yeah.
It was a very fucking I'll link that episode right here, right now. I check it out, guys. It's actually really, it's right at like the beginning too, I
Yeah,
think.
it literally starts at the beginning. Yeah, because we start talking about, as soon as I start talking about ghosts and like having the ability to sense and feel them, it literally kicks off.
Yeah. And I had people, I had paranormal people come in here and immediately say something's here.
No, something's in there. Yes,
Yeah.
and it's more
So,
than one. It's not
That's
just
why I
one.
wanted to bring I want to bring like an exorcist in here, not to do an exorcism, but I also want to interview an exorcist, but I want to bring in someone who, like,
When I come tomorrow, I'm gonna come in my minister clothes.
Yeah, you're talking to Gene. He's got the whole thing to read. Just film Gene.
I'll come
no,
tomorrow.
I want someone from
Oh.
like the archdiocese.
I'm
I've been-
ordained.
I want
it gonna be, the
someone,
He's an ordained
Archdiocese?
minister.
I want someone from the archdiocese
he's got
that is
I got
on-
it covered. You be ready when I show up and step out of that truck tomorrow. I'll
Do
have all the
not-
garb on.
Listen, Gene, if he doesn't believe you, you marry his ass and you can see how real it is.
Mhm.
Don't.
That's pretty progressive,
No.
fellas. You guys get married? Nice.
No, he's
Yeah.
gonna.
Bravo.
No.
Do you have a hearse? A hearse you can rent, and you can drive the hearse over there.
That would be creepy.
My
Brian.
theory, Ryan, is that it's from the toaster. Toasters are the portals
Yeah,
to hell.
let's not get into that.
and
You
Fucking.
need to have the place cleared out. You need a clearing to take place.
I take
Yeah.
care of it
Clearing.
tomorrow.
Brian, where can people find you? Where can people keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ty, for having me on. Thanks, guys, for the conversation. Join us next week as we get into Mars disclosure, which is what I usually cover.
Ooh.
I've got a website, blueplanetred.net. You can also find me on Twitter at Brian Corey Dobbs, on YouTube at Brian Corey Dobbs. We were commenting about how with UFO disclosure, there's a lot of reporting, a lot of stories. I have the great benefit of actually having lots of photographs released by NASA. See, NASA's just released a whole bunch of stuff from their rover photographs and from their orbiter photographs, which paint an entirely different picture of Mars, which we'll get into a little bit next week, Ty. So I feel sorry for those of you working on UFO disclosure. You don't have the abundance of riches that we do over on Mars. But anyway, I appreciate this discussion and hope to catch up with you guys on another date.
My man.
Yes, sir.
Vito, you are up, my friend. Where can people find you? Where can people keep up with what you are doing?
All right, so
go ahead.
So for the main thing, I want Vito UFO 76 on YouTube because that's like my UFO one that I'm trying to build. I usually do the Perfect Storm Gaming thing, the Perfect Storm Gaming on YouTube. And with that, I do a lot of live streaming, game reviews, and things like that. But I am majorly into UFOs, so I'm trying to really, really push the UFO side. I also just got on the audio side. I'll be linking that. I have an interview coming up with Limbo Logan, dropping very soon. And I'm going to be dropping a video that's going to piss off a lot of people. Not going to talk about that, but it's going to be a big video. It's going to either piss off a lot of people or put a hit out of me. Probably both. So that's coming soon. I'll be hanging with you guys in Boston in about 2 weeks.
Wait,
What's that?
someone put a timestamp and said the light indeed is flickering in and out or in and off.
Oh, that's
and then
awesome.
they watched it back. And then someone else confirms it. Light was going on and off. And something black walks by. What the fuck, bro?
Yo, look what I
You
did
said
to
it-
you. You're
you
welcome.
said it
Completely
cheer-
blocks out the
I
light at one point.
fucking
for
told you,
a
bro.
millisecond.
Bro,
I told
you
you.
are. I swear to God,
Don't
I'm
go
le-
back
I'm le-
and look,
I'm
Ty.
legit.
It's like reading the
I'm
comments. You won't
legit.
sleep, man.
I'm not even trying to say like I'm legit, but I'm legit. Like it's
All right,
I'm
Vito.
not bullshitting you, dog.
Vito, where can they get you?
Vito UFO 76 on X and Vito UFO 76 on YouTube. Please follow that. I'm doing a 24/7 live stream that I've been restreaming all my old stuff, so you can check that on both
man.
X and everything.
Highly recommend it. all
Also,
the
Brian,
links-
I wanna interview you because the Mars stuff really intrigues the shit out of me. That plus you got that cool 90s guy hair.
poaching my
Oh,
guests.
nice,
Hell
man.
yeah.
Thanks.
Fishing, baby. No, I'm kidding.
All right, Gene, where it is?
Right there. If you're not about the woo, and it is for you, you can check out blackgroveglobalrisk.com. This is where we're analyzing everything that's going on beyond the personalities and what the evaluating what the system is actually doing. And then if you're interested in the original Russian UFO files, a complete archive of Russian UFO reverse engineering that dropped in my lap, that is at engineeringinfinitybook.com. And everything, every page is translated. It's there to explore. There's an archive link where you can download each of the individual scans and do what you want with them yourself to inspect, and a lot of information about what I've found and where I see the connections being. And anybody is welcome to roll up their sleeves and do some work as well.
Well, that's a fucking amazing, guys. Did I miss anybody?
No mic,
Because
dude.
Mike, you're off.
Your microphone's dead.
Yeah, you're not on the mic.
No, yeah, get off my lawn.
You were using a camera.
No, StreamYard. Yeah, StreamYard just switched my shit. Wow, man.
You sure it was StreamYard and not the ghost?
I actually don't know at this point. I don't know what's going on. You fucking bought something. Dude, it was dormant. I was literally telling you how I hadn't had an issue in a while. And you had to do that, huh? Bro. Fuck.
He's gonna beat me up when he sees me.
God damn it, man. It was so
Oh,
calm
it's
in here.
great. I hope Matt Brown's still watching because he was watching for a little bit. I hope he saw that. That's cool.
Matt, do the right thing. Let someone else interview you. I'll fly you to Boston. Let's go. Let's set it up. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Stay humble, stay kind, and most importantly, stay vigilant. Next episode coming out with Michael Roser, who was part of filming the Bridgewater Triangle documentary. Came out a few years ago, won some awards in the area. He's a fill-in guest, but he is a great guest, and I can't wait to have him. Then, like Brian said, he'll be on the next live show on next Thursday, so that's going to be super fun. And then Lenva Logan, and some others that we've been talking to. So yeah, stay humble, stay kind, stay vigilant. I'll see you on the other side. This episode of Total Disclosure is brought to you by Good Feels Cannabis Seltzers. And I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite partners that we've ever had on the show. As I've given up alcohol, I'm very open about this on the show, and I think a lot more people choosing that same path. So if you're looking for something that can truly replace alcohol in any